Hi, this is Kamera, my first few minutes with God, day number 257, Daniel chapter 1 through chapter 3. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, he besieged Jerusalem. God gave him victory over King Jehoiakim of Judah. God also permitted King Nebuchadnezzar to remove some of the sacred objects from his temple and to be taken back to Babylon. The king, he ordered that some young men of nobility, be taken to Babylon. These young men had to be strong, healthy, full of knowledge and wisdom, and they had to be good looking. They were to be suitable to serve in the royal palace. They are to be trained the language and literature of Babylon. This is a 3-year training, and during that time, they'll be eating foods from the king's table, which is rich foods, and drink his wine. Well, you had Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. They didn't agree with the king's food. They didn't want to defile their bodies. And so they had requested that they have a particular diet. And the guy in charge, the chief in charge, didn't agree with that. He didn't want to be beheaded if something happened to them. So Daniel was like, test us for 10 days. Well, after the 10 days, the guy, thank God for favor, right? This chief saw that their appearance was healthier and better nourished. They were better nourished than the other noblemen. So now you see that he saw that their diet was better for them. So he changed diet for everyone. So the 4, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, God gave them unusual aptitude for understanding and wisdom. Daniel, he gave a special ability to interpret the meaning of visions and dreams. So after the 3 years, the king, he talked to them and he was very impressed. He was impressed with the 4. So the king, he would consult them often. And he found them to be 10 times more capable than his own magicians and enchanters. Isn't that something? Fast forward, Nebuchadnezzar, he has this dream that disturbs him. So he called his wise men, who he called magicians, enchanters, sorcerers, astrologers. He needed them to tell him what his dream was about and then give him the interpretation. They were like, there is no way we can give you the meaning of your dream. We don't even know what your dream is. King said, if you can't do it, I'm going to have you executed. They couldn't do it. And so the king, he ordered their execution. All the wise men of the kingdom, but this is the thing, Daniel and his boys they were part of the wise men. So when Daniel hears about it, he's like, take me to the king. I'm going to ask for more time, which the king gave him favor and did. Daniel goes back to his boys, his prayer warriors, and say, listen, I need you to pray. We need to pray that God give me what I need. So that night, God gave him the dream and the interpretation of the dream. Next day, Daniel, he goes to the king, and first thing he tells the king, one of the first things he tells him, there is no man wise enough to do what I'm about to do. That wisdom don't even come from me. I had to get it from the one true God. So God gave him the meaning and interpretation. He told the king about that statue, which is for a future time, a future event. So the king was so impressed, he promoted Daniel to be ruler of the province of Babylon and over all the wise men in the kingdom. Daniel didn't forget about his boys. He requested Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego be promoted as well to be over the affairs of the province. Isn't that something? Fast forward, king made a golden statue, 90 feet tall, 9 feet wide. He sent out a herald to let everyone of every nation, every language, every religion, it doesn't matter. When you hear these musical instruments, you are to bow down. Well, word got back to king by some astrologers that Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego did not bow down. King calls them, gives them another chance. They're like, we don't need another chance. We're going to refuse your offer. We believe that our God is able to save us. And even if he doesn't, we're not going to disrespect him by bowing down to some statue or any god. God is able to save them. But even if he don't, the answer is still no. So king upset. He turns up the fire even hotter. Get his strongest men to throw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in this fiery furnace. Well, the big men, they got burnt alive. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fire. King looks over at them. There's a fourth being in the fire with them walking around. He calls out, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, come. So they come. When they get there, their clothes are still all good. Nothing's burnt. There's not even a smell of fire or smoke on them. King is totally flabbergasted, impressed. And so he promotes them. And he also tells everyone to respect the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I'm just saying, God is doing this thing. He is ministering to Nebuchadnezzar, making him into a believer. He chose men who would stand and believe in him. I love that Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, and Daniel are standing firm in their faith. I absolutely love it. But there you have it, guys. That's day number 257, Daniel chapter 1 through chapter 3. You have a God-filled, blessed day.